Please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application and it's other than a renewal, and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we begin, there are two adjournments on our agenda. Applications 26-5 and 26-20, property located in East Farmingdale. Anybody here on these applications? They being adjourned to March the 19th, 2026. First application tonight is application 26-3 of Michael J. and Nicole Kilbridge. We have a planning memo dated 2/25/26, DEC memo dated 2/26/26. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Survey by Michael K. Wicks dated 10/7/2020. Four photographs and plans by Kenneth Bartman dated 3/27/24. Name and address for the record, please.
Anthony Powell, 9 Humphrey Lane, Blue Point, New York, 11715.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a planning division memo. Oh, we did that already, right? Okay, what would you like to tell us about we changed everything around, so we're a little out of sync here. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The application before the board is for permission to increase the total building area from the maximum permitted 30% to 42.8% in connection with the installation of an in-ground swimming pool and surrounding paver patio in the rear yard. As the chairman indicated, the planning department reviewed the application, indicated that the pool and patio are located in conforming positions. Planning also recommended that the patio maintain a minimum 2-foot setback from property lines. The proposed layout exceeds that recommendation with 3-foot rear yard setback and 4-foot side yard setback. The planning department further noted that 2 of the abutting neighboring properties already contain in-ground pools and patios, which we feel supports that this type of improvement is consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. The Department of Environmental Control also reviewed the application and classified it as a Type 2 action under SECRA, indicating that the project will not result in any significant environmental impact. There are no open complaints on the property, and to our knowledge, no objection from neighboring property owners. For these reasons, we respectfully request that the board grant the variance as requested. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you. Attorney hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So you agree that all pavers and patios will maintain a 2-foot setback off
Yes,
the
sir.
property lines?
Yes.
And no further increase in building area?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 26-3 with the approved subject conditions. All patio pavers maintain 2-foot setback on all property lines. No further increase in building area.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next application is application 26-10 of Maria Tati Rashadi.
Good evening. My name is Maria Tati Rashidi, and I live at 20 Strathmore Drive in North Babylon.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For the record, we have a planning division memo dated 2/25/26, DEC memo dated 2/26/26. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by L&R Surveying dated August 16th, 25. Plans by Chen Han Architect dated 6/26/25. 8 photographs, and we have the affidavit of posting. What would you like to tell us about the application?
It's all in connection with legally maintaining 3 sheds on my property. It came up because I had put in for a building permit, and I was told by Kevin that I needed a variance for the 3rd shed, which I was unaware of. So I'm asking permission to legally maintain the 3 sheds on my property, and they're all within the proper placement on the property. And if you have any questions, that's
Okay.
really it.
Thank you. Attorney hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
All right, so are they all under 12 feet?
Yes.
Yes. How long have you had the 3 sheds?
Probably within the past year.
Okay, so you just recently purchased one,
Yeah, yes,
and they're all being fully occupied? You can't
yeah,
remove any?
yeah.
Okay. So you said you were applying for a building permit?
I did apply for a building permit, and Kevin Bertolini is the examiner, and he said that in order to do the building permit, after they looked at the plans and stuff and saw that the sheds were 3, he asked me to get a variance so he can give me the building permit.
Okay, so if we do approve this application tonight, would you agree that if any sheds are in disrepair taken down, they cannot be rebuilt without zoning board of appeals approval?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
I make a motion to approve application 2610 with the condition that if any sheds to be taken down and disrepaired, they cannot be rebuilt without zoning board of appeals approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Wasn't that bad, right? Next application is application 26-8. Property location, that's what I don't have here. It's Nicole Olson, Nicholas Olson and Menza Townsend. Yeah, that's where I'm off. Yeah. Name and address for the record, please.
Nicholas Olson, 641 Arlington Road.
Okay. And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, we have a planning division memo dated 2/25/26, a DEC memo dated 2/26/26. If approved, this will not result in significant impact. A survey by Island-wide Surveyors dated 10/14/25. Plans by Design Element dated 11/4/25. 6 photographs, and we have the affidavit of posting. Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
We're looking to put a second floor dormer on the home. And the denial came back that I believe we're too close on the front yard. And I think that's what the variance is for. It says it would be 26 feet, 7 inches. And then there was a comment about our pavilion. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I turn hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
How are you?
Well,
Can you describe to me this pavilion, what it is, what's it used for, what is the purpose of
it's
it?
just an outdoor pavilion for shade.
You sit under it?
Yeah,
You know,
that's all it is.
is it bolted? Is
No.
it cemented? Is there any way it can be moved to a conforming location?
It could be moved.
It can be.
Yeah,
You put it somewhere else where it's not so close to the street? and
sure. I could also take it down.
That would be perfect, but I mean, that's up to you. It's not in a real good location. And there's no gonna, I mean, wherever you put it, you can't enclose it. There's gonna be no further enclosure of it?
If I could just take it down.
Okay.
So if you agree to that, you realize you have to take it down, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll remove it.
okay.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to,
Delete 2. Yeah, delete 2.
all right, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to eliminate variance number 2, diminish distance from Front Street line from 40 feet to 7'6" on Arnold Avenue for pavilion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, okay. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 26-8 with the condition that the pavilion be removed
Second.
permanently.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is application 26-4, Christine Sewell. Name and address for the record, please.
Jonathan Lyons, 20 Hawthorne Street.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated 2/25/26, a DEC memo dated 2/26/26. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Plans by North Coastal Civil dated 10/27/25. There are 7 photographs, and we have the affidavit of posting. What would you like to tell us about the application?
As the application states, looking to put an in-ground pool in the property. We did receive the copy of letter from the planning board and their concerns. It is a reduction in the building area and as well as the rear yard due to the plans and the shape of the yard. I think that it's reasonable for the request for these. Most of it's pavers. The other concerns are the reduction in the lot lines. The intent of it is a sport pool, which is less gallons than a standard pool. Sport pool has 2 shallow ends and a deep end, and the length of the pool is contingent upon the deep end and having the slope and having it actually safer than having a shorter pool. Despite the sport pool having 4 feet deep on both sides, there is a part in the middle because who doesn't want to jump in the pool as well, in the 6-foot area. So that's why we're asking for a variance for the reduction 6 inches on the rear side and the west side, as well as a closer area of the pool to be 5 feet instead of 6 feet. With that in mind, it also helps with drainage on our end. We're putting in additional drains within the yard to result in case there's any overflow or anything of that nature. So based on all that, we're asking for the variance for those reasons.
Okay, so explain that pool to me again. I didn't quite get it.
Sure, it's a
Shallow
sport
on the
pool.
two
So
ends?
the 2 outsides, there's instead of having to climb in, there's the steps on each side, and then it's shallow on the one end with a little deep end in the middle. So instead of it going, from one side to the other, shallow to deep, there's actually not as great as a deep end, which results in less gallons than a typical pool and results in, you're able to play like volleyball with the volleyball net or basketball. And, it's safer as it's not deep throughout, but I do have 2 daughters and, they would still want to jump in the middle. So that's why we have a little bit of the, the deep side. So, kids are kids. They want to jump in and play in it.
So I guess this pool comes in like a standard kind of sizes because we were asking you, could you make the pool smaller?
Yeah, based on the, the slope and the depth to get to the 6 feet, it can be made smaller, but there is recommendations for best practices and best practices for the size property that we have and the usage. It's recommended to have a 16 by 32. Sorry, I think it's 18 by 36 is the one.
18 by,
Yes,
no, 16 by 36, right?
yes, thank you.
And you also have a patio already, a brick patio in the back?
Yeah, there's existing pavers that we would just tie in.
Tie into the pool pavers?
Yep. Yeah, and with the addition and with the ability to have the pool just set back that extra 6 inches, we'd maintain a larger grass lot and have more, grass and foliage in the middle of the yard. And as you can see, there's an existing pool on the rear side that is right up against the property. So I don't think it would infringe upon the neighbor behind us. And I know the neighbor to the next of us doesn't mind either.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. I'm going to close the hearing, reserve decision. You get the decision in the mail?
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is application 26-2 of Robert Perdicone. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Nicole Blanda. I'm an attorney at Bazell, Blanda, and Visconti with offices at 535 Broad Hollow Road in Melville.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated 2/25/26, DEC memo dated 2/27/26. Memo, seekers completed, fire marshals dated 2/13/26. Subject to fire marshal comments. Survey by Pinnacle Land Surveyors dated 6/16/22. Suffolk County Planning Memo dated 3/5/26. Decision of local determination. Plans by Spaces dated 8/25/25. We have an affidavit of posting and 3 photographs. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, Suffolk County Planning did have a number of comments. I'll pass them down for.
okay.
There's also correspondence, if you can please note numbers 12, 13, 14, 16, and 17. Please note that in the record.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
I'm here tonight on behalf of the property owner, 109 Partners LLC, seeking variances in connection with the redevelopment of this site with a 9-unit senior citizen apartment complex. On December 3rd, 2025, the town board approved a change of zone for this site and rezoned it from, originally it was Residence A, then there was an application for industrial, but they rezoned it to senior citizen multiple residence on that date. Following the change of zone, the planning board approved the site plan on December 15th, 2025, after careful departmental review. As the board knows, there are multiple departments that review this type of application as part of a planning board approval, including but not limited to engineering, highway, fire marshal, traffic safety, and the town DEC. So as part of their review process, they have the applicant go through revisions if necessary, they make comments, and they make suggestions, and then we have to address them. Once they deem it all addressed, it goes to the planning board, and the planning board decides whether or not they ultimately want to approve it. So the planning board did have a public hearing, and then, like I said, on December 15th, they approved the site plan that you are looking at right now. However, we do need several variances. So the property, as was stated, is at 195 Route 109 in West Babylon. It's located on the north side of Route 109, west of Glenda Drive. It does have a lot area of 0.56 acres and approximately 97 feet of frontage. It's a very deep lot, a little irregularly shaped. It's kind of narrow. Like I said, it was previously zoned Residence A. There is an existing dwelling that has a letter in lieu, meaning that it's a non-conforming structure with a detached garage, and the existing dwelling is basically at 0 lot line. There's a portion of it that I would say is even on the sidewalk. It does angle to a certain extent, but it is pretty close to the street. This house would obviously be demolished as part of this application, as would the detached garage. The applicant is seeking variance relief to develop this site with 9 one-bedroom units, a recreation room within the senior complex, as well as an outdoor rec space that would be in the rear of the site. Notably, we are not seeking a density variance. We are under the allowed density. In the senior citizen zone, you're allowed to have 25 units per acre. So mathematically here, 14 could be a possibility, but we're only seeking 9. And there's multiple reasons for that, most of which is the site design. We are also not seeking a parking variance. We meet the required parking. We're required to provide 14 spaces, and we are doing so. So if we look at the site plan, the curb cut is located on the the southerly side. You come in, ingress and egress would be from there. There's a 24-foot travel aisle. The turnaround area for sanitation trucks and emergency vehicles would be immediately in the rear of the building. And I do have my architect, Chuck Lembo from Spaces, here with me tonight to talk a little bit more about why it has to be where it has to be in order to meet both fire marshal regs and the town DEC regs. But essentially, we need to be at the widest point of the lot. So in other words, the turnaround has to be in that location in order for it to function properly. Just beyond the turnaround area would be the refuse enclosure and the backup generator tucked behind that refuse enclosure with landscaping around it. And beyond that, as you can see, is the parking lot with the 14 spaces as required. There'll be all new on-site curbing and paving and new parking striping. In the rear of the property, there's a nice landscape buffer area, and there'll also be some patio tables, a bike rack, and a fully ADA-compliant and accessible area so that if the seniors want to have an outdoor space, they can do so. So the variances that we're here for are lot area. We're seeking to reduce the requirement from 2 acres to 0.56 acres. Notably, again, even though we're seeking a lot area variance, we're not seeking a density variance. We made sure that the building could fit the site with the number of units. The first story in the front is the recreation room as required by code. We are seeking a variance in connection with the recreation area. We're looking to diminish the indoor space from 1,500 square feet to 1,140 square feet, and the outdoor space that I was talking about in the rear from 1,350 square feet to 812 square feet. The other variances are the front yard setback variance. We are looking to diminish it from 30 feet required to 5 foot 2 inches. It does vary because it is a sawtooth cut front of the building, so there's a varying depth there, but the closest, obviously we have to go with the variance from the closest corner, and the closest corner is 5 foot 2. Again, the reason for this is to allow the site to function properly. Even when we were going to propose an industrial building, because of the turnaround and the need to provide parking for any type of use that goes on this site, it is necessary to be within the front yard setback. We're also seeking to diminish the north side setback from 20 feet to 3 feet. The property to the north is the West Babylon Library, and we are immediately adjacent to their parking lot. There will be, as you can see in the back along our parking area, there will be trees and other plantings as a buffer as well. With the surrounding area, to the north are industry zoned properties, even if they're not being used industrially, again, such as the library and PC Richards further. To the south is the Noche Funeral Home, that's zoned Business E. Across Route 109 to the west are other multi-residence complexes that are both zoned SCMR and MR. To the east is the West Babylon Junior High School, and that's zoned Residence A. As the board knows, Route 109 is a state road, so having a dwelling on this site doesn't really make much sense. It's sandwiched between commercial uses on a big road. Notably, on Route 109 over here, you do have the central divider. So in other words, if you're coming out of this site, you cannot make a left. It's right turn only. I did review the letters that were received from the library, and I understand the concern about the curb cut. I did take a photo, and the curb cut that is closest to our site is entrance only. At least that's what it's paved to show. There's an arrow showing that it's in only. And so we don't feel that there would be an issue because there's no traffic coming out at that location. The other curb cut is further to the north. I believe it might be another couple of 100 feet for the library. That's where they would exit the property. But as I said earlier, traffic safety, Nelson and Pope was the town's traffic engineer on this, and they had no issues or concerns with either traffic or sightline visibility or anything of that nature. I do have with me tonight Chuck Lembo from Spaces. He's our architect, and I'd like him to maybe give a little more detail about the truck turnaround and how the site will function, since that did seem to raise some concerns by the neighboring library.
Okay, thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Charles Lembo, architect, 410 West Montauk Highway, Lindenhurst, New York.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
I sure do.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
All right, so Nicole asked me just to do a quick synopsis about the location of the emergency vehicle turnaround, and if I can present something to the board that I can follow up with. So what you'll see on that sheet are the available options in the New York State Fire Code that give you the descriptions of the type of turnarounds you can use in order to bring fire vehicles in and out of a site. I've highlighted the one that is applicable to the dimensions of our site. And what it says is any site that is deeper than 150 feet, you must have an area delineated in the state fire code in order for the truck to turn around. It's basically a T shape with the wider part being 120 feet and then the stick of the T being 70-foot minimum. As the site gets narrower as you go to the right in the site plan, once you pass perpendicular to where I have that hatched rectangle, you are less than 70 feet. So that is the absolute deepest I can go into the site before I have to be able to have the trucks turn around because they will not have room to back up and make a three-point turn. You need 120 feet clear centered on that, which we obviously have because that's in the drive aisle. If you look at my drawing, I think it's ST4, you can actually see the turnaround and the dimensions drawn on it.
We don't have it to pull up right this second.
All right, well, I have a detail of it I can submit to you. Can I show them before we stand? So I'll pass this around, and you can see here, this is the 120-foot dimension centered on the parking, the turnaround area, and centered in that is the 70-foot dimension. I go any further this way, I don't have 70 feet, so I can't occupy that spot. So that's an issue. Do anything else? Is that do you have any questions regarding that, or was that a reasonably adequate
questions from the board?
explanation?
We're good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, it was already vetted, obviously, by the various departments, but the reason we're bringing it up is to demonstrate why we have our setback where we have it. So if the board has any questions for me at this time, I'm happy to answer. I know that there's some people here, so however you want to.
Okay. I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, so you got 9 units, right?
Yes.
So what's the need for 9 units? Can we make it smaller so we can fix off the front street of 109, the rear for the fire trucks, everything?
Right. So a
It's
lot goes into
accommodating.
any project, as you know, and there is a 20% affordable housing component. So 2 units will be at a lower rent affordable housing, leaving 7 units at market rate. And because in a normal multi-res project, you don't need the rec space, here we do. So it does take up more square footage of the building. So in theory, it sounds easy, you just chop the building down and you have less units, but you'll actually cut even further into it because you still need the rec space. So, I mean, that's the reason behind it. Behind any job that anyone does, there's numbers that have to be met in order for the job to even make sense.
All right. So there's no way you can move it, you can't go back, you can't go forward? Outdoor tables.
We certainly can't go back. I know that we can't go back.
And we can't bring the rear forward. You're already asking for a reduction in unit size, right?
No. Unit size?
Didn't you say they're going from 1,500 square feet to 1,140?
Oh, just for the recreation space.
Okay.
So if we cut the building back further, we would lose more recreation space in theory if we took a little bit off the front of the building.
Is that a requirement, the amount of recreation space, or is that?
I'm here for a variance on it, yeah.
It says outdoor and indoor.
Yeah, there's outdoor and indoor. So indoor is a little bit less of a variance. We're required to have 1,500. We're at, I believe, 1140. So there could be a solution but I believe there's a balancing to it.
I have no further questions at the time, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. So the first 22 feet is 1 story, is that correct?
Is it 22 feet, 1 story? I believe so.
Am I reading that right?
Yeah.
What is the first 22 feet? What's going to be inside of that?
The rec area is in the 1-story portion,
So that's the rec area.
the recreation part, yeah. Sure.
So you'll see the dashed line where the 22 feet dimension stops that you're talking about?
Yep.
So that 1-story portion plus the hatched area to the right of that line is all the first floor rec space. So the first floor rec space goes underneath the first, second floor unit. And you see where it says 1-story, 2-story?
Yep.
So all the hatched area is the recreational space on the first floor. So most of it is in the 2-story envelope, and then the sawtooth bit closer to the street is 1-story.
So you got 4 units on the first floor and 5 on the second?
That's correct.
And I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, would anyone like to be heard on this application? Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Catherine Gamble, 825 Prescott Place, West Babylon, and also as a representative as a Board of Trustees from the West Babylon Public Library, 211 Route 109.
So are you speaking on behalf of the board?
The trustees of the Board of,
Trustees.
we are the
Okay.
owners of record of the library.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Our concern in regards to this new site, one of the concerns was just addressed before in regards to the turnaround and access for fire apparatus, which I did not see on the plans yesterday. I possibly missed it while I was viewing the plans. All fine and well for 1 fire engine, but if 2 fire engines are required on that property, they will be required to back out onto 109 in order to exit. The diminishing of the north side down to 3 feet ends up being right on the fence of the library property. The only access at this point for firefighters is so diminished for the back of that building, and access would probably be required from the parking lot of the library itself. We don't think it's safe. If you look at the plans, you'll see that Nochi on the south side's exit driveway is directly next to the entrance driveway for this facility. And then just a little bit down the road is the entrance for the library on a major thoroughfare with very little room for any types of mistakes, hesitation, mishaps in regards to entering and exiting any of those properties. We see that there are 14 parking spots within this property. But as we find whenever Nochi's has a funeral, all overflow parking ends up in the library parking lot. We can't be guaranteed that this would have additional parking issues, but the safety of people parking in the library parking lot means they have to enter and exit through the driveway, the entrance driveway of the library. As we know from our recent snow, there are no sidewalks there to access, to get to and from the building. And we're just concerned more in regards to traffic safety and safety for the residents than anything else at this point. Like I said, I see you covered that the turnaround for fire apparatus is there, but that's if you have one fire truck at that time in there.
Anything else?
No, I think they covered some of the others that we wanted to speak about, but we're just concerned in regards to safety and the frontage that this is one sidewalk away from a busy highway with a single bollard on the southwest corner as protection for that building. So that's also a consideration too. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application?
I would just like to add about the fire trucks. As we just saw with the recent fire on Great Neck, if God forbid there is a fire there, all the fire trucks will be parked on 109. They will not be pulling, they will be pulling in there, but they'll all be backing up regardless. They could have 100 feet of space in there. Some ladder trucks are 70 feet in length. So, God forbid there is an emergency in there, the road would be shut down in that instance, just how Great Neck was. I've personally been to the previous fire at Great Neck, which was a couple years ago, and they had, both sides of Great Neck Road shut down. I'm sure that was the instance last week. So, God forbid something like that happens, traffic will be shut down on all lanes of that highway. But 70 feet should be more than enough for ambulances and small trucks to get in there.
Okay. I'll ask again, would anyone like to be heard on this? Any additional? Okay.
I did note in the portal, I had conversations with Fire Marshal Morgan Davis. He was also the fire marshal on the planning application. And he did note, I don't know what you see on the portal, but he did note he had no objections.
It's a new build, so it will be subject to the fire marshal comments
Right.
made on the planning board application.
Oh, yeah, that's what. Okay, that is. Okay. All right, I'm going to close the hearing. I'm going to reserve decision. You will get the decision in the mail. Thanks for coming down. We'll take all of that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Next application is application 26-7, Deer Park Auto Collision.
This guy. This guy.
Name and address for the record, please.
Michael Arado, 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B, 16, Melville, New York, 11747.
Okay, do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated 2/25/26, a DEC memo dated 2/26/26. Approve this application will not result in significant, no, maybe not. Okay. Fire marshals dated 2/20/26, has a valid permit. Surveyed by Diamaro Engineering and Surveying dated 3/30/22. Plans by Diamaro Engineering dated 1/8/2005. 7 photos and an affidavit of posting.
Mr. Chairman, we just need an amendment. This application was previously approved for 1 year and expired on February 13th, 2026. It was advertised as being previously approved for 3 years.
Okay, I'll amend the application to read previously approved for 1 year instead of 3 years. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
So we're here today for the renewal of a special exception permit to continue to operate the Deer Park Auto Body and Repair Shop. As mentioned, we were in front of this board back in February 2025 And since that time, the site has not been changed or altered. We were unaware of any town tickets, violations, or issues occurring, or where anything the town was called for. The site has also remained well-kept and in good condition over the past year. Since the site has been operating as an auto body shop since 2014 and has been operating by the current owner for over a year without any incidents, we would like the board to grant permission to have the permit approved for 3 years instead of 1 year. And we are unaware of anyone calling in or writing in opposition to this application.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Montiglio.
Yeah, good evening, how are you?
How are you?
You guys have a spray booth there?
Yes.
You have a DEC permit for it?
He does have it, and he also just got the renewal put in as of the 2nd.
It's in the
March.
works. So it's in the works?
It's in the works.
Okay. If this was approved, subject to all the previous conditions and covenant restrictions that you had in the past?
Yep, nothing's changed.
Same business model, nothing changed besides with the new owner? Everything's the same?
Yeah, even since 2014. So he literally just took the building over and cleaned it up, actually, because there was some site changes that needed last year, which he
It's all
complied with.
sided now and everything else. Looks nice.
Yep.
Good. I have another question, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Approve it with the permit? Okay, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve application 26-7 with the condition of the previous conditions and covenant restrictions, and also approval with the idea of the DEC permit.
And can we do it for 3 years?
For 1 year.
Second.
You can't do it for 3?
Not with the DEC permit open right now, no.
Oh. He did, I told him, he did apply for it, it just hasn't been approved, like. He paid it all and everything, it's just.
For 3 years. Okay. It's approval just subject to the permit being approved, and I will get it 3 years.
Okay, perfect.
Second.
That's good. Thank you so
All in
much.
favor?
Aye.
Have a great night.
Good luck.
Tell him I said hello.
You better give him a good gift.
We don't need that one.
Disrespectful, rude.
Next application is application 26-9 of Burger Brothers Restaurant Group.
My rubber band, but you don't forget it.
First page of my outline.
Comes like a slump.
An address?
Yeah, sorry, just trying to get my stuff together here.
Where's the next
For the applicant, John Farrell, from Hassan Ward, Braff, Coscignano. Our offices are at 1300 Veterans Memorial Highway, Suite 100, Hobog, New York.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated 2/25/26, a DEC memo dated 2/26/26. Fire Marshal, we still need Fire Marshal. Survey by Setafico Land Surveying dated 2/12/23. We do not have planning, Suffolk County Planning, that's still needed. We have plans by Key Civil Engineering dated 4/30/25. 5 photographs and an affidavit of posting. Would you like to tell us about it, the application?
So the subject property is located on the west side of Deer Park Avenue between Easton and Shipman Avenues. It's about 103 feet wide, 127 feet in depth, for a total lot area of 26,248 square feet. It's zoned BA, and it's presently improved with a Burger King restaurant. It's had a drive-through restaurant. I think it's been a Burger King this whole time, for nearly 50 years at this point. Improvements have been made over the years to keep up with the corporate standards and branding, and the site is very well maintained. Their landscaping is in very good shape. They take excellent care of their properties. We're here tonight seeking 2 relatively minor variances in connection with improvements being made to the restaurant. We're seeking to reduce the rear yard setback from 50 feet to 44.1 feet for the addition of a larger walk-in box, and to reduce the front yard setback from 60 feet to 12.7 feet for canopy along the frontage for Deer Park Avenue. As the board knows, Deer Park Avenue is a well-traveled, busy commercial thoroughfare. There are all types of uses on this roadway. There are fast food restaurants, convenience stores, self-storage facilities, apartments, offices. If you can think of it, it's probably located on Deer Park Avenue. But with that said, there's no real defined pattern of development. There's no standard setback that any one site follows. There are some properties that are right on the street front. The old Panera Bread, which before that was Beech Tree, is right on the street front. Parkway Car Stereo, which is directly across the street, is right hard up on the street. There are other sites that have been developed in recent years that have 20-foot setbacks, 30-foot setbacks. Very few have a 60-foot setback, and I think the only ones might be in the Sunset Plaza Shopping Center that are set back that far. This site is existing. It's been existing for quite some time. And the front yard setback we're seeking to reduce is to put a canopy over an existing walkway that's in front of the building so they can provide some cover for some outdoor seating. If you look at the survey or the site plan, you can see that the property line kind of, as you head towards the north, kind of angles in. So the shortest point is 12.7 for the canopy. But if you go to the south corner of the building for the canopy, that's a little over 20 feet to the property line. And they're probably further back because there's sidewalk improvement there as well. So I think even with 12.7, they're probably 19 feet or so from the actual street line. Again, the site is very well landscaped. I don't think this is going to have a significant impact on the surrounding community. I think it's going to enhance the building, and again, it's going to provide some cover for those, handful of outdoor seats they have. In terms of the rear yard setback, they're proposing to put in a new walk-in box, which reduces the rear yard setback to 44.1 feet. Right now, I think it's 49.1, so it's really just a 5-foot extension. There are a number of uses that have less than 50 feet of rear yard setback along Deer Park Avenue. The old Checkers, which is now a Dunkin' Donuts, is less than 50. This CVS is less than 50. AutoZone, which is across the street, is less than 50. So, 50-foot rear yard setback, I would argue is very rare in an e-business in the town of Babylon, unless you're dealing with a very large shopping center like Great South Bay Plaza or something along those lines. I reviewed the planning memo, and there was one note to ask why my client needed the larger walk-in cooler, and I wish I had some amazing answer for that, but the simple answer is they just need to keep more stuff cold than they've had to in the past. The nature of fast food restaurants is changing. They get a lot more frozen product, a lot more cold product, so they need a larger walk-in box. My client would not want to put this in if it wasn't being required by Burger King as the franchisor. It's an expensive undertaking to build this because these are custom-made apparatus. So that's all I can really say about it. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Turn it here over to Ms. McCullough.
How you doing?
All right, pretty good. So I've seen other sites be demolished and then reconstructed. We're just getting a facelift pretty much.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And there's a current cooler box in the back. We're just expanding.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I love Burger King. I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Oh. Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
All right, I make a motion to approve application 26-9.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Next application is application 26-6 of Roberts Plywood. Oh, boy.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the appellant, Tom Abate, A-B-B-A-T-E. I'm an attorney with offices at 88 Sunnyside Boulevard in Plainview.
Okay. For the record, we have a plan division memo dated 2/25/26, a DEC memo dated 2/27/26. If approved, this application will need a negative declaration. Fire marshal's report dated 2/24/26, subject to planning board comments. Survey by Galala Surveying dated 5/9/25. Plans by Nelson and Pope dated 5/27/25. There are 21 photographs, and we have the affidavit of posting. Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Thank you. Tonight's appeal concerns a site located in the heart of the industrial park in Deer Park. It's located at the northwest corner of North and West Industry Courts. This is just west of the Deer Park Long Island Railroad Station, and abutting us to the west are the Arches outlet stores. This is an industrially zoned site. It's located in the GA district. It possesses just over 5.5 acres of lot area, fairly regularly shaped. And as part of your e-packet tonight and in the aerial, which is now on the screen, you can see that our entire rear yard is abutted by the Long Island Railroad tracks. But that's not all. That's not where the railroad's involvement ends here. As you can also see from the aerial and the site plans and the photographs, we have a railroad spur which traverses the middle of our lot. That's an active freight line. And in fact, it's essential to the operation of the business, which is cited here at 45 North Industry Drive. The spur provides much of the practical difficulty, which engenders the need for relief tonight, and we need 3 forms of relief. The first is a variance to erect a second warehouse building on site. The second is off-street parking relief, because if we're allowed to build this additional warehouse space, we won't meet that which is otherwise required by code to provide in terms of parking stalls on site. And then lastly, a special exception so that we can establish a small retail component within the building. The business that I refer to is known as Roberts Plywood. Roberts Plywood was started in 1977. They make architectural plywood, lumber, veneers, and lumber. Did I say that? And hardwood. Okay. We don't do any wood fabrication on site. We do some coatings. One of their premier customers is Steinway Pianos. But other than that, we don't do any fabrication on site. We presently operate out of the existing warehouse building, and that measures 65,000 square feet. All but 2,800 square feet of that building is warehouse. That balance, the 2,800 square feet, is used for offices. Now, we wish to expand our storage space. So let's go back to the spur, right? In an ordinary situation, you would just build an addition to your warehouse. We have the spur, we can't, so we need to put it on the other side of the railroad tracks. The railroad tracks, as I mentioned earlier, are essential to our operation because that's how product comes to us. Freight trains come onto our lot, we can fit about 4 or 5 freight cars there, and then our employees offload. So that's the reason why we need a variance for 2 buildings on 1 lot. As part of this, we're also proposing to erect an 11,000 square foot canopy off of the existing warehouse building and then to the railroad tracks. That does not connect the 2 buildings. And by the way, even if it did connect, it wouldn't magically make this one building under the zoning code, right? And even if it did, that's form over substance. But we do want the canopy because it protects our workers and our product as we're offloading the freight cars. It does not need relief, but it's part and parcel of our plan, so you should know about it. So that's the first form of relief, is that we're requesting 2 buildings on 1 lot. The second form of relief is an off-street parking reduction. And again, engendered by the proposed construction, which we have before you this evening. Now, we've got 3 facets to Roberts Plywood. warehouse, office, and as I'm going to get to in a moment, retail. So under section 213, 286 of our code, they all have differing rates by which you have to park. In the warehouse, you park at one stall for every 700 square feet. For the offices, 1 per 150, and for the retail, 1 per 200. Overall, when you combine them all, we are required to provide 141 stalls. We can only provide 89. I concede that number looks significant, but as you're going to hear from our traffic expert, Mr. Osman Barry from the firm of Nelson and Pope, who I'm going to ask you to recognize as a traffic expert, we not only have enough parking on site for the use as it will exist, but we will have a surplus. Bear in mind that this is a very low intensity use. I think by the numbers I already gave you, you can tell that the vast portion, 80% or more, is devoted to warehousing. That leaves our third form of relief, and that's to establish what I called a small retail component. Section 213-181 governs our code, and it incorporates the G zone by reference. So under 213-166F, you can have retail within the GA zone by special exception, and it's solely the jurisdiction of this board. So what is it that we envision? I said it's going to be small. Of the 83,500 square feet of building area that we're proposing, just 1,700 square feet of that will be retail, and only 2,800 of that will be office. So it's a very, very small retail component. Clearly, this spot is devoted to warehouse use. Moreover, because of the nature of Roberts Plywood business, it's really geared to contractors and perhaps a smattering of architects. You and I can go in there, we're allowed to go in there, but we wouldn't. It's the kind of thing where someone with knowledge of the building trade and industry would go in for a particular product. It is not going to be a traditional store. It's not aisles that you walk up and down and pick out products. Instead, you tell them what you're looking for, and again, we're limited to lumber, hardwood, veneers, plywood, and they will show you samples. You can then pick the one you want, place your order, and usually these orders are in bulk. That order then will be transmitted to the warehouse to be filled either then on the spot or for delivery or pickup at a later date. Moreover, as to that retail component, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we limit it. Roberts Plywood presently operates from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the evening. The retail component will operate solely from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And that's really for our benefit. A, we don't have that type of trip generation or demand where we need to expand the hours. It is relegated to people within the business, so we don't have to wait for consumers to come home from work. And then thirdly, we need the time to fill the orders. The bulk of Roberts Plywood is filling the orders for specific products. Our employees work in 3 shifts. First shift is from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., the second from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and the last from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. With shift overlap, we have, at peak, 32 employees on site at any one time. Should you grant us that relief necessary to build this additional warehouse, we expect that that will add 10 to 12 new employees, but again, they will be split over 3 shifts. Overall, figure about 65 employees. Now, by engaging in this, we're also improving the site overall. Right now, it's a bit of a mishmash, and what we are able to do through Mr. Christopher Voorhees, a project manager with the firm of Nelson and Pope, we are changing the site circulation in the parking scheme so it functions more smoothly, both for our employees, for our contractor customers, and for those who are taking delivery and those who are providing delivery. So unless you have any questions of me, I call Mr. Christopher Voorhees, who is a project manager with the firm of Nelson and Pope.
Great, thank you. For the record, Christopher Voorhees, project manager, professional engineer, Nelson Pope, 70 Maxis Road, Melville, New York.
Mr. Voorhees, I opened up by telling the board we're changing the site circulation. Can you explain how it operates now?
Sure.
And how we propose to change it?
Very good. If you could go to the next sheet in the plan. So this is our existing conditions site plan. The existing building is located on the southeast portion of the site, as well as the site entrances which there are two. The existing site entrance on the northern access point is where we have the main parking lot that services the office area, as well as other staff employees. Around the building to the south is the other site entrance. That access goes to the rear paved area. You can see there's a hatch, a gray hatch that represents the asphalt. There's a loading dock zone in that portion that the larger vehicles will access. Both site entrances are two-way traffic, both in and out. The site currently has the rail spur that was described previously, which cuts off the access to the rear of the property. If you could go to the next plan. I'm sorry, go back up to the one above is our overall alignment plan. So let me describe the changes.
So this is what we propose.
This is our proposed plan. So the main changes that we're affecting here start with our site circulation improvement. As I indicated before, both site access points are two-way. Our proposal is to maintain a small portion of two-way. However, the majority of the site circulation will be a counterclockwise one-way direction. You can see the existing northern site entrance continues up to the northern edge of the property, crossing the tracks to allow for a full circulation drive aisle around the perimeter of the property.
And the way you've designed it, can we accommodate all variety of trucks?
Yes, we took a lot of care to look at both large tractor trailers as well as fire safety vehicles that can be seen with widened turning maneuvers, specifically on the northwest corner of the property.
So you examine the turning radii, and it works even in conjunction with the parking stalls that you're proposing?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes.
you've got designated customer parking up front, correct?
Yes, there's three main areas of parking. One will be the improved parking area in the front. Now, the main enhancement of this is it separates the inbound trucks from the passenger vehicles.
Very good, that's where I was leading, thank you.
So you can see there's an area of striped out along the main truck drive aisle. That allows for vehicles to pull over, get out of the way of the drive aisle, and check in with the main office area. Continuing to the north to where the proposed warehouse building is located, we have an expanded parking field that serves that new building. And then the remaining parking area is going to be on the western property line. That's existing and remains largely unchanged.
All right, so in the new building, there will be a space where you can pick up material that you've ordered, correct?
Yes, that is where our office area will be. You check in, and then there's three different loading zones, whether pickup or delivery, all would depend. We have a loading dock zone with an elevated loading platform, as well as two roll-up doors on either side of the building, east and west, near the north of the building.
Thank you, Mr. Board. I have no questions of Mr. Board, as the board has any interest.
Any questions from the board?
I have one. The canopy, what's the overall height of this?
Well, I have our project architect.
We do.
Can you imagine?
Just to point out to you, because it's a little hard to see on the screen, there is a hatch that represents the canopy. It's kind of the two triangular areas. On the northwest corner, there's one there, and then the triangle shape just to the left of the building wall, extending from the loading platform to that building.
And with your consent, I'll call our project architect, Giovanni Coelho, from the firm of Diversified Design.
Good evening.
Name and
Giovanni
address for the
Coelho.
record.
Giovanni Coelho, Diversified Design Associates, 255 Main Street, Huntington.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay. Do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Do you want to say, I sure do, like the last guy?
The canopy is actually roughly about 28 feet. It does, what the canopy does is
28 feet in height.
28 feet in height. It actually hovers about 3 or 4 feet below the height of that building that it marries up to. So it's below that height. And it will extend to the perimeter of the platform And like I explained before, the intent is to keep the employees safe in inclement weather when the train containers are there and they're loading and offloading. That's all that can be do. It will be lit. There's really nothing more to say except that it is just a safety factor for them, and they can work all year round under there without impeding with the weather, having any problems with the weather. That's it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Queller.
Thank you.
And then just to bring it home, I have Mr. Osmond Barry. He's been recognized as a traffic expert by this board and numerous other boards throughout the island. I ask you to recognize him as a traffic expert, just to give you his findings with respect to that reduction of off-street parking that we're required to have by code. His report comprises part of your e-packet this evening. It's already been uploaded to the portal. Mr. Barry, could you briefly give your findings, understanding they have your detailed report?
Okay. Good evening, members of the board.
Need name and address for the record.
Osman Barry, with the farm of Nelson and Pope, 70 Maxis Road, Melville, New York.
Okay. Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Good. Go ahead.
Mr. Barry, when I gave my introductory remarks, I said to the board that your findings are that the 89 stalls we'll be providing on site won't just accommodate our employees and customers, but will actually provide a surplus of parking. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Could you explain to the board how you reached that conclusion?
Okay. Based on the town code, the proposed project will require 141 parking spaces. The site plan provides 89 parking spaces, resulting in a requested variance of 52 parking spaces. We conducted a parking study to justify the variance. Field parking counts were conducted on May 7th, 2025, between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. at 30-minute intervals to evaluate the actual parking demand at the facility currently. The study identified a peak occupancy of 42 vehicles at the existing facility, representing approximately 84% utilization of the available parking. The observed demand equates to approximately one parking space per 1,550 square feet of building area, which is substantially lower than the parking ratio assumed by the zoning code. Applying the observed demand rate to the proposed building area of 87,102 square feet, this will result to a parking demand of approximately 57 parking spaces. So the project fully built out will actually need a parking demand of 57 spaces. With 89 spaces provided on site, the project will provide approximately 32 spaces above the projected demand. So we have excess of 32 with the proposed building.
An excess of 32?
Yes.
Okay.
So the parking analysis demonstrates that the actual parking demand for this warehouse and distribution use is significantly lower than the zoning code requirement. The proposed parking supply will adequately serve the expanded facility, and the requested 52 parking spaces will be adequate to meet the parking demand of the site.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Even someone like myself could understand that. That made perfect sense the way you laid it out. Thank you. I don't have any questions of Mr. Barry unless the board has any inquiries.
Any questions? We're good, thank you.
All right, that concludes my case.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will turn the hearing over to Mr. Montiglio.
Good evening, how are you? You described basically everything about the business model, the employees. Where is the retail portion of this, in the new warehouse or the old?
It's actually going to be in both. We're going to have a little bit up front and then a little bit in back for the total of 1,700 square feet.
And the deliveries would be out of the new proposed warehouse?
Yes, correct. Correct.
And it's only at about 10 more employees, you said, about the retail?
Not even really for the retail so much as just for the additional storage space. It'd be mostly warehouse employees. The retail doesn't take up that much of our time. It's very easy to accommodate. It's so scattered and such short duration.
And all deliveries would be out of there as well?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Do you store any trucks on site?
No, we don't, right? Do we store any trucks on site?
don't think so.
Yeah, I don't believe we do. I've been to the site several times. I've never seen any vehicles there. We mostly get deliveries, and that's the trucking use. That's why I had Mr. Voorhees talk about the types of trucks that we can accommodate on site.
So you guys don't do any deliveries on your own?
No, they pick up. They pick up, which is why we need to accommodate a variety of trucks, depending on what particular contractors have.
I think it's a combination. We do make some deliveries. There's a lot of pickup business.
So where are the trucks stored then? Where are our
We have
trucks?
multiple properties in East Islip and Watermill.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you heard Mr. Farrell. That's Tom Farrell. He's the proprietor of one of 45 North Industry Partners, LLC. He says they have multiple properties. So if we do have trucks, and we're not certain, they're on our other properties, but not here.
No fueling stations over
No.
here?
No.
Do you ever have any plans to have truck storage there?
We do not. I don't know where we'd fit them.
Okay.
And we've been operating all this time without it. So we haven't had the need.
Mickey, just see. Go ahead. You guys don't deliver anything? That you don't have a truck that you own that delivers?
Mr. Farrell corrected me. We do deliver. I hadn't seen any of our trucks on site. He told me that they're at our other locations. So if there is a delivery, they will summon a truck, which will pick up
You
the
know where
load.
we're going with this, right?
I'm sorry? I want to have Mr. Farrell testify.
Sure.
Name and address for the record?
Yes.
No, name
Oh,
and
sorry.
address.
Tom Farrell, I'm one of the owners of the business and of the property.
And your address?
15 Tall Tree Circle, Riverhead, New York, 11901.
Okay, do you affirm to tell the truth?
100%, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I can't guarantee you there's no truck there overnight. I'm a longtime investor. I'm a shareholder of the business. I look after their real estate and acquisitions. We have multiple lumber yards in Long Island. I can't say with 100% there's no trucks there overnight. I'd have to get back to you on that. But I do know the bulk of the business, there's a lot of pickup business here, and that's why we're particularly excited about reworking the traffic circulation. So it's primarily one-way counterclockwise. It really makes a better experience for our customers. But for me to say there's zero trucks there, I'd have to get back to you on that. But there's a lot of the business is pickup business here.
Okay, you'd have to get back to us then. If you're going to store trucks overnight.
I will let you know for certain.
And I'm going to try and get an answer right now. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. John?
You agree to merge the two, apparently? the
Yes.
two properties? You agree?
Absolutely, yep. That makes all the sense in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Open planning board application. I don't see that anywhere. Yeah, there we go. I don't see a bullet on it.
Oh. So you went before the planning board?
We did in September of last year.
So none of these variances will affect that?
No, it's precisely the same plan without a single change.
Nothing's, okay, so nothing's going to change with the
Nothing.
variances you're asking for?
Nothing.
Any other questions from the board? Yeah. Would anyone like to be heard on this application? The record, there are none. So we're going to close the hearing. We're going to keep the record open in response to overnight parking.
Very good.
Okay, and then we'll make our decision after that.
All right, I'll inform you via message through the portal, if that's acceptable. Unless you want it in some other form, an email to,
We would like a formal letter email to zoning comments.
you'll have it. Thank you.
Do you have a card for everybody that's on?
Sure, I'll give it to you at the conclusion. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to, okay, we'll close the hearing, keep the record open, reserve decision. Keep that now. Lot of sorts
I
tonight.
know, it's first day back. That's what I told you.
And everything's changed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Next application is application 26-1 of Amatronic Gardens. Help me out.
Aromatic.
Aromatics. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Janice Whalen. I'm an attorney with offices at 23 Green Street, Suite 205, Huntington, New York, 11743. And tonight I represent applicant Aromatic Gardens, seeking a special exception and variances for the existing warehouse at 231 Edison Avenue in West Babylon to permit an adult-use cannabis dispensary with interior and site improvements shown on the last site plan.
Okay. Let me just read some stuff into the record,
Sure.
okay? For the record, we have a planning division memo dated 2/25/26, DEC memo dated 2/27/26. If approved, this would need a negative declaration. Fire marshal's report dated 2/26/26, subject to planning board comments. Survey by Pinnacle Land Surveyors dated May 15th, 2025. Plans by Spaces dated 1/8/26. 5 photographs, and we have the affidavit of posting. Okay, now, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Thank you. The variances we seek before you tonight relate to the number of off-street parking, the location of 3 parking spaces front of the building line, a 2-inch variance for the front yard setback, and a very de minimis variance for lot coverage. The last 2 variances relate solely to the existing building conditions. In addition, we also seek a special exception to permit the adult use cannabis dispensary at this location. Appearing tonight with me in support of this application is George Badger, registered architect, principal at Spaces Architecture. He prepared the plans in accordance with all of the department comments, and he's here to answer any site-specific or elevation-specific questions that you may have. I also have Mr. Leary Tinto. He's president of Aromatic Gardens and the New York State license holder from the New York State Office of Cannabis Management. He's a lifelong Suffolk resident and long-term football coach to a local football club. Also, I have Mr. Michael James. He is an attorney, the applicant's state licensing attorney, in case you have any state-specific questions. And lastly, but certainly not least, I have Mr. Sean Mulryan of Mulryan Engineering, who performed the traffic assessment and will present his conclusions. I emailed Mr. Tom Dixon today, the town's traffic consultant, and he indicated to me that he did review Mr. Mulryan's report, and he had no objection to Mr. Mulryan's findings that the available on-site parking and street parking will more than satisfy the peak parking demand of 27 cars between 2 and 3 on weekdays. I thank the planning department, the planning commissioner, and the ZBA staff for your courtesies extended during this application process. I want to clarify before I begin some issues raised in the planning department's February 25th memorandum to this board. We made amendments in January of this year, effectively sterilizing 7,200 square feet of warehouse area. We are the only tenant in this building. There are no other tenants. The building measures about 12,000 square feet. We're proposing about 4,700 of that for retail, but the balance of the warehouse space will be completely vacant. We're not using it for any storage or any parking of any vehicles. We're not proposing any parking in the building, whether it's delivery, customer, or employee parking. We are proposing 2 delivery cars. They'll be taken home at night by the employees, so there'll be no overnight storage on the site. Lastly, again, the building only has 1 tenant, and that is Aromatic Gardens, the applicant and business before you tonight. To answer the planning department's inquiry, the Edison Street entrance is only going to be a secured entrance for employees of the building, of Aromatic Gardens. It's secured. No patrons will enter on Edison Street. There'll be no additions made to this building. And as a matter of fact, we're subtracting from the building. We're removing the existing loading dock in order to create 3 more on-site parking spaces. Really did everything to maximize the parking on this site. And just lastly, we fully consent to the planning department's recommendation that in the event, and we hope this never happens, that there were substantial complaints of excessive parking, that we would be given the opportunity to implement a spillover parking plan. So we fully consent to that condition. But we don't believe that's going to be necessary after you hear from Mr. Mulryan. In my presentation, I'll describe our business operations, our employee plan, most importantly, security measures, which are very important for New York State license holders, and our delivery protocol, which I know that this board is interested in hearing. This past Monday, we had our planning board informational hearing, at which time we discussed a number of the site improvements. I'll go through them very quickly. The facade renovation is going to be a complete rehabilitation of what this building looks like. Interior alterations, parking sufficiency, business and security operations. First, I want to let you know, I know that it's a condition of the town code, section 213-166-3, that we meet the location requirements. We are within an industrial district, and we are not within the prescribed area for the following protected uses: residences, religious uses, any educational facility, any playground, or any youth venue. We are not within a radius of 500 feet of any existing operating cannabis facility. As a matter of fact, the nearest currently operating facility is Planet Nug at 2043 Wellwood Avenue, and I did a MapQuest distance. I believe it's 2.3 miles away, so we're well within the prescribed limits set forth in the special exception criteria. I'll go through our site details and improvements and then on to our operational details. By way of an overview, all of our operations are not only subject to town regulation, but to New York State regulation. There is absolutely no on-site consumption allowed at this premises or any other premises. No special events will be held in our site or on the building site, on the building outside. Age verification will occur in a guarded vestibule before any patron is allowed to be buzzed into the retail portion of the building. Security cameras are inside the building and out 24/7. Only prepackaged products are offered for sale. There's no packaging that's done on site. And importantly, we're installing a fire alarm and sprinkler system throughout the building to ensure the safety of all occupants. The site and surrounding area. We have a one-story building which received a CO in 1983 for light manufacturing. It's located in the GB district at the northeast corner of Edison and Eads. It measures, the lot measures about 28,300 square feet. The building measures about 12,000 square feet. It's a commercial area across Edison from a cemetery and across Eads from a deli. The site and building will be fully renovated to maximize off-street parking for functionality, accessibility, safety, security, protection of neighboring uses, and aesthetics. The latest site plan prepared by Spaces, dated January 8th, 2026, shows that vehicles can enter two areas. They can enter first on Edison to access the 3 parking spaces that are located front of the building line. Secondly, they can access on Edison to the vast majority of parking spaces. Incidentally, the fire marshal has already approved the radius, and the site can be accessed safely and securely by sanitation trucks. The site will be fully compliant with all New York State accessibility regulations. We're going to provide new curbs, sidewalks, and an asphalt driveway. Again, we're going to remove the rear loading dock to add 3 more spaces. And I defer to Mr. Mulryan, who will present his parking report in more detail. We're going to have a fully automated fire sprinkler system, fire alarm for monitoring fire, smoke, and CO2. All drainage will be to town specifications. We're going to have new landscaping to make the building a lot more attractive. All lighting on the building and in the parking lot will be dark sky compliant. And signage will comply with all town regulations, but will be handled by separate permit. In terms of interior alterations, again, public access is going to be through a door on Eads Street. The cannabis retail area is under 5,000 square feet, And the warehouse, as I've said a couple times, is about a little over 7,000 square feet. It's dead space. It's not going to be used for anything. We're the only building occupant. As soon as somebody enters the site from the door on Eads, there's a secure vestibule for checking identification and age verification mandated by New York State. Once that age verification is completed, a security guard will buzz, for lack of a better word, that patron into the retail area. They would not be allowed in until that age verification was processed. There's going to be accessible customer restrooms in the retail area, and there'll be a counter space with partitions behind it, which is going to separate the retail area from the area where the product is stored in a vault. There's also a secure waste room, also mandated by New York State, which has regulations about how any product would get disposed of. Operations. We request the same days and hours of operations as any other cannabis site that came before this board. 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 9, and Sunday, 10 to 8. I will describe delivery, but delivery operations will cease 1 hour before the close of business. We anticipate 8 to 10 employees. Some drive, some carpool, some take public transportation. Again, never any on-site consumption of any product would be permitted, and staff is tasked with the monitoring of the site to ensure compliance with this very important detail. How is product delivered to the site? All goods are sold again, prepackaged, and delivered to the site in very small minivans. Could be 5 days a week. We expect deliveries to take minutes in the rear of the building, loading, unloading, and product, as soon as it enters the building, it's automatically inventoried and put into the vault. Again, I've said that public is going to access through guarded vestibule. There'll be 2 guards on site at all time, and they'll be unarmed. I know that that was a question that was asked in one of the cannabis applications. The guards will be employed by a fully licensed and insured security company. One will be in the vestibule area checking IDs, the other will be in the retail area. How are transactions handled? Upon entry into the retail area after age is verified, a customer service employee greets the customer at the customer area, counter area where samples are displayed for viewing and handling. We'll have TV menus showing the product name, price, and weight. Once the customer decides what they want, they'll tell the customer service agent what their order is. That order will be processed in the back room. It'll be handed to another customer service agent at the register. The customer pays and exits the building. We expect, based upon other facilities, the transaction should take no more than 10 to 15 minutes. People are not hanging out here. People are going to be in and out. All in-store transactions are paid by cash, debit card, or ACH transactions. Again, we're going to employ 2 levels of security: the in-store security, the 2 unarmed guards, and again, the company's fully licensed and insured. Many security companies use former police officers for their guards as well, so the guards will have the proper training, they'll know protocol, and based on experience, how to handle any unlikely situation. A separate security company will handle digital security and surveillance. Surveillance will again occur 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, of the interior, all access points, and the building perimeter during operating hours and beyond. The tapes are retained for 60-day per New York State regulations, and the state has access to these tapes as well. There is no drive-through or curbside pickup. Can orders be placed online and delivered? Yes. Orders can be processed through the business website, which entails another system that's going to verify who that person is and their age. Same protocol as a walk-in patron. Delivery orders can be processed through the same website. Online and delivery orders can only be paid for through debit or ACH, no cash. A delivery order is processed in-store and then assigned to a driver. The technology gets very interesting here. The delivery is tracked through GPS software, which provides a driver application, visibility, tracking, and proof of delivery through a client portal. Once that delivery person finds the residence that they're delivering to, the customer is required to present photo ID upon delivery. That ID is uploaded into the delivery application for verification and record keeping. The delivery will occur via sedans with no markings or commercial identifiable indications. Unless the board has any questions, I would now like to bring up Mr. Mulryan, who can present his findings about the parking assessment. Thank you.
Name and
Evening.
address for the record.
Sean Mulryan, Mulryan Engineering, 1225 Franklin Avenue, Garden City, New York.
And you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
What would you like to tell us?
So we were asked to look at the traffic and parking around the subject property. As you may know, this subject site is located within a swath of industrial uses. It is also surrounded by cemeteries to the southwest and to the north. It is also located just west of the recycling center, and it's approximately a mile away from any residential uses. The industrial uses surrounding the subject site tend to be busy early in the morning, and the workers tend to leave earlier in the afternoon. This is a little bit of a off-peak use compared to the subject site that's being proposed tonight as a cannabis distribution center, which would tend to have busier hours later in the day and on weekends. On Saturdays, this industrial area is generally quite quiet. We do have 22 parking spaces on site. We're required to have 35. The requirement is based on both sides of the building, but again, we are not using the warehouse space. We had initially proposed to have employee parking within the building, and we were told by planning that that would not be permitted. So we did look at the parking around the subject site on Eads. There is no parking along Edison, but we did find that there was sufficient parking to accommodate any overflow that this site may have based on the shortage of parking. Again, we tried to park within the warehouse space, but we're told that that would not be permitted. We did find, however, that the on-street parking and the parking supplied on the subject site would accommodate the use as proposed. That's a brief overview of the report that we prepared. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions from the board?
I got a few questions. I don't know if the lady would answer them. The loading dock is going to be backfilled and covered and asphalted over?
Correct.
And that'll be an entrance for deliveries
Correct.
and secured?
Only deliveries, and those deliveries will occur in minivans, nothing large.
Right, but this is in the rear parking lot.
Correct.
Now we move around to the west side of the building. There's a single door there currently there.
Correct.
That's going to be the main entrance for customers?
That's the only entrance for customers.
And then the employees' entrance is going to be on Edison Avenue?
Edison, correct. And the reason why there's only one, the reason why only one patron entrance is because of the security protocol that we have to follow. So we want to make that vestibule in one area where people come in, they're verified, age checked, and that's their only access point to the building.
Okay.
I have a question. I don't know if you mentioned it or not. You might have. The employee parking lot, it's only 4. Are you planning to have more employees, or is that the number of employees that are going to be working?
We don't expect any more than 8 employees, and maybe not even at the same time. We're not sure if it's going to be one shift from opening to closing, or maybe 2. But in the parking calculations, employees are not separate. They're included in the 1 per 200 and 1 per 700. They're already accounted for in the town's parking calculations for this type of, for this district. Okay. And again, I believe, and I know Mr. Mulryan knows better than me, that the required number of parking space was artificially driven up by the warehouse space, which we're not using anyway.
Do you account parking for the security guards and
That is included within the parking calculations that are provided. Oh,
So,
Will they be parking, I guess, in the, where the, the customers will be
right,
parking?
so the question, I think, is driven by the parking in the front. The parking in the front is not restricted to employees only. The entrance is restricted to employees only. So the employees will park in the front, they'll park in the back. The spaces will be available and on a first come, first served basis, essentially. The entrance is really what dictates the use in the front, not that they'll be posted for employees only or anything like that.
Okay.
So again, what we looked at is the Institute of Transportation Engineers, the parking generation manual to prepare an assumption of how many cars would be anticipated. And we believe that at some points during the day, there might be a few extra cars above and beyond the spaces that were provided on the subject site. And that's why we looked at the availability for on-street parking surrounding the property.
And one other thing, you will be responsible for the security of the entire building?
We are the only operation in this building.
I understand, but the warehouse area that's not being used,
We are responsible for that security.
secured, wired, cambered, whatever it means?
Exactly.
So another question about the warehouse. Nothing's going to be there? It's just empty?
Nothing. With no product, no storage, no cars, nothing is going to be there. It's effectively sterilized area. However, though, because in warehouse, the parking count is 1 per 700, it brought up the number of required parking spaces, but we're not utilizing it at all. It can't be because we really only, with the 1 per 200, we have enough parking for the defined retail space that we have now.
Would you agree to a condition to that?
Yes.
And just for the record, you agree to the conditions on the planning memo, the hours of operation, no product consumption on site?
Absolutely. Most of those conditions relate to state requirements anyway.
You agree to that?
My only question was the last condition, number 21. It seemed to suggest that we were using the warehouse for parking and storage, and we're not.
Okay, but you agree to those conditions?
We do.
Thank you.
I'd like to conclude. We respectfully submit that we've met the special exception criteria for our proposed use, which is conditionally permitted in this district. We met the location criteria. No adverse impact will be brought to the character of the neighborhood or the pattern of development. With respect to the requested parking variances, based on Mr. Mulryan's expert testimony, we don't believe that the requested variances will produce any undesirable change in the neighborhood. We can't pursue any feasible alternatives, and in fact, we work to increase the number of parking spaces, but we're just not able to provide any more. The request is not substantial based upon Mr. Mulryan's field research, concluding that the peak parking demand of 27 spaces would only occur on weekdays between 2 and 3. Based on the extensive site improvements, the proposal will not have any adverse impact on neighboring conditions and actually improve them. And while every application is decided on its own, I know that this board has granted parking variances in 2 earlier cannabis dispensary cases. One is Strain Stars under case number 23030, and the second case was Long Island Cannabis Club under case 23199, and if I could submit these decisions into the record. That concludes our presentation, unless the board has any questions, and we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, it was very thorough.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none, so we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision, and you'll get the decision in the mail.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I need 5. Oh, that ends the live streaming portion.